From chalkboards to overhead projector to Elmo, obsolete and emerging technologies, presented by Jan Lopez. What is it to become obsolete? Obsolescence is when a tool is no longer wanted, even though it may still be in good working order. Then what is an emerging technology? An emerging technology is new technologies that are currently developing or will be developed over the next 5 to 10 years, and which will substantially alter the business and social environment. So thinking about emerging and obsolete technology, let's look at the overhead projector, specifically the overhead projector tetrad. The overhead projector tetrad enhances the use of a large presentation of instructional material. It allows for presentation in color and lifelike representation of artwork and instructional materials. It obsoletes the chalkboard, the slide projector, poster boards, and sentence strips. It retrieves and or rekindles pictographs, hieroglyphs, directed instructions, or students seated looking at a board. And it reverses the LCD projector and the Elmo document camera. So if the overhead projector is the obsolete technology, then the emerging technology would be the Elmo. Let's look at the Elmo document camera tetrad. The Elmo enhances the teacher's ability to share notes with a large number of students. They can now use handwritten or typed notes and project directly from a book or computer, with the ability to overlay or write on the information by hand. It also obsoletes the overhead projector, and specifically the use of special supplies. It retrieves or rekindles projection systems requiring special supplies, and it reverses visual transfers of notes from paper to individual monitor systems, iPad or tablet technology in which images are transferred to individual student screens from the teacher computer. In order to explore these emerging and obsolete technologies, I interviewed 2 individuals. Both individuals were given an interview consent form. Upon signing the interview consent form, one interviewer was a decision maker. It was Mr. Robert Turner, the media specialist at Educ Middle School. After interviewing the decision maker, Mr. Turner, I found it interesting to then interview an end user. An end user would be someone like a teacher who would use the Elmo in the classroom. These were the interview questions asked of our end user, Mrs. Wendy Overstreet, the band director at Educ Middle School. Now that we've had the opportunity to interview both a decision maker and an end user, it is pertinent for us to now analyze those interviews. If we were to recap the interview with the decision maker, we would see that he was a trainer of teachers. He considered himself the resident technology expert. He actually learned about the Elmo at a conference and believes that the school and himself offered constant technology support and training. In contrast, the end user, or the teacher, was a trainer of students. She used the Elmo for music instruction. She felt as if there was no training or support for the Elmo or other technology, and she learned about the Elmo from other teachers and became proficient at the Elmo by doing her own research. Although these 2 views are different, what they do share in common is that both believe that the Elmo is an important tool for classroom instruction that increases student achievement and involvement. So now that we know that the overhead projector was replaced by the Elmo document camera, let's look at the 6 forces that work on technologies and how they affect the technology. The overhead projector began with an episcope, which is an opaque projector about the 1880s. It progressed to the epidiotscope. They eventually were able to make an episcope for home use, and the opaque projector in the 1970s was something that was used in a classroom. From the opaque projector, we then moved to a slide projector, and then from the slide projector, we moved to what is the modern overhead projector that we all know. So what forces affected the development or the obsolescence of the overhead projector? Well, the overhead projector was an evolutionary technology. It evolved over time. It was first used by police to draw suspect sketches, and the 3M company capitalized on that and demonstrated the benefit of using a projector in the classroom, which is what made it spread throughout in the 1960s and years. The overhead projector was affected by a rhyme of history, meaning that it repeated something that teachers have done throughout time, which is the need to demonstrate or to visually show students what you're trying to teach them. You can see this back with the hieroglyphs or the scrolls in ancient China. You can even see it with the old chalkboards in the 1800s. Was the overhead projector affected by science fiction? No, not really. When the overhead projector was being developed, science fiction was going in the way of space travel and extraterrestrial beings. The concept of projecting something larger was not something that science fiction was promoting at that time. Was the overhead projector a disruptive technology? No, it wasn't. Because it evolved from the episcope and the opaque projector, it just seemed like a natural evolution. It didn't replace something that was already there. It also, increasing returns did not have an effect on the overhead projector because it did not have a competing product. An overhead projector, the only competing product may have been the opaque projector, which it ultimately replaced because of safety issues. And did Red Queens have an effect on the overhead projector? I would say no. The overhead projector was a natural evolution, and it did not have any competing technology. So now that we've looked at the overhead projector, let's look at the Elmo document camera and the 6 forces that may have worked upon it. If you look at the Elmo timeline, you can see the first cineprojector was released in 1927, and then you see the first overhead projector in 1969. So you can see the definite evolution from an overhead projector to the Elmo document camera. And as you look through it, you see the first document camera was released in 1988. And as of 2011, Elmo has classroom solutions. It has permeated the educational world. So let's look at those forces. The Elmo was an evolutionary technology. It developed from the overhead projector, which was a natural progression. It needed a little help from the LCD projector. Once the LCD projector became more commonplace in the classroom, the Elmo document camera became the next natural step. The Elmo also repeats the rhymes of history for the need to display information to large groups of people. And the Elmo was affected by science fiction. Science fiction has been portraying items that could be displayed in a 3D manner. And the one thing that the Elmo can do that the overhead projector cannot do is display 3D objects, as well as hook up to a microscope so that we can see microscopic elements. The Elmo was a disruptive technology. It displaced the overhead projector. There was nothing wrong with the overhead projector. It had just become obsolete. It was in perfect working order, but something else took its place. Currently, the Elmo is in competition with the smartboard. Since both the Elmo and the smartboard utilize a computer and an LCD projector, the smartboard and the Elmo are competing for the school market share. Schools have to decide which of these tools will be more effective in instructing students in the classroom. And since the Elmo competed with the overhead projector for its market share, ultimately the Elmo was the Red Queen of the overhead projector. It replaced it and then put it out of the classroom. So if the Elmo put the overhead projector out of classroom, what does the future hold for the Elmo itself? Well, looking at the Elmo in 5 years, it's pretty clear that the Elmo may be replaced by tablets or iPads in the classroom. Schools are now moving away from textbooks and into ebooks, which means every student will have some sort of a tablet in their hand in order to read their text. If the Elmo can develop a means that it can project what it sees onto the individual tablet, then it will be competitive. in the near future. If not, it may be moved out of its position of power, as the tablets will supersede it and will better meet the needs of the student. Thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate it.